Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the Riche Directions dye in Tulip. I have these listed 1 through 13. That is to help us keep track of these throughout the video. If it's not already obvious, it's not supposed to be synonymous with hair levels. It's just my thing to help us out here. What I will be doing is taking the dye directly from the package, and I'll put that at the top. In the center I will dilute the dye a little bit, and then on the ends I'll dilute the dye even more, and then I will tell you those measurements as I go because it changes per dye. Like I said, the top of each swatch is just the pure dye straight from the bottle. In the center I did 1/4 of a teaspoon of the dye and then a teaspoon of the diluter, and then on the ends I did another 1/4 of a teaspoon of dye, but this time a tablespoon of diluter. So far this dye reminds me the most of Burgundy Wine by Special Effects hair dye, so I will be comparing those two, and I think we'll look at Virgin Pink from Arctic Fox as well. I'm gonna let these sit for an hour, and then once I rinse them out, I'll let them dry and I will meet you back here. Okay, so I personally live in the United States and I've never heard of this before. Not saying that I haven't heard of other brands, because there definitely are other brands that I've never heard of before, but I think this one is a UK brand. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, and I probably should have done better research. For anybody wondering, I did buy it on Amazon. This looks like it's another dye that has done a really good job in dyeing pretty much all of them except the black one. The only other one that is kind of meh is the blue one. It does look a little bit purple on the top where it's just the pure pigment, but down the rest of the strand it still looks pretty blue. From your perspective, you probably can't tell too much on number 5. But when I look at number 5, I can see it, so I think in natural lighting it probably does come through a little bit better. As with most other dyes that I've done, the toned one looks more cool toned, which would make sense, versus the more platinum blonde ones. So that's something to keep in mind depending on what look you want for your hair. So like I said earlier in the video, looking at this right away, it reminded me of the Special Effects dye in Burgundy Wine. So we're going to compare those. So this swatch is comparable to number 13, number 12, and number 11. I hope you can kind of see, but Special Effects has a more berry cool tone to it. You can kind of get that similar look in number 13 if you tone your hair, but it still won't be as purpley. There's much more pink in the Tulip dye. This would be Burgundy Wine, comparable to number 9, number 8, and number 6. It looks to me like the Tulip dye still has more of like that pink tone. The number 4 and number 6, those look a little bit more similar, but you still see much more purple in the Special Effects dye. Just for curiosity's sake, I'm also going to compare these to the Arctic Fox Virgin Pink. There's no number, but this one is comparable to number 13, 12, and 11. So it looks to me as though the Virgin Pink has more of like a bubblegum vibe to it. It's not as like vibrant, like hot pink the way that the Tulip is. The Tulip has much more of like a warm tone to it versus Virgin Pink. It is still a little bit warmer, but it's not like, it's kind of like in between, not too warm, not too cool. This swatch is comparable to number 9, And again, the Virgin Pink did dye the hair, but it's not as vibrant as the Tulip. It looks to me like Virgin Pink is just naturally a lighter dye. I'm not sure if Tulip is meant to dye dark hair, but it kind of seems like it looking at the swatches. Whereas the Virgin Pink, you can tell, is meant to go on lighter hair colors. Now that we've seen everything together, let's get into the close-ups. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope this video helped. If you are curious about future videos, I have my dye schedule linked below. I also have my Patreon link below if you want to help support my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.